Good morning. Oh, you can do better than that. Good morning. Good morning to you. I am the Reverend Dave Clements, and I serve this congregation as their interim minister. I'd like to extend a special welcome today to anyone who's visiting us for the first time, or those of you who decided to come for our town hall meeting after church today and get some food. And particularly those who are joining us on Zoom. Can we give them a shout out and a greeting? And then I just want to take a moment and have a heavy sigh. Can you give me a heavy sigh? Wasn't it great to see the results of our national election? I don't know how it was for each of you, but I have a renewed hope in people and in this country and in the fight for democracy. Which I want to actually thank those of you who participated with Mary in the mailing the postcards. in my contacts and people who are in the UUA who are working the logistics of this program, I want you to know that those of you who mailed the post definitely had a difference on the outcome of this election. So thank you for stepping up and living into the principles that we hold dear as Unitarian Universalists. But I also want to let you know that Mary, who's organizing that, has a need for postcards to be sent to Georgia. So we're not done yet. And my contacts there tell me that the effect that Unitarian Universalists throughout the country who sent postcards there got people to the voting places. So if you think that the little act that you do does not have a difference, it makes a difference. And that, again, I congratulate you and celebrate the success of our national election. And now, Susan, I'll turn some time over to you for some announcements.
Good morning. As you can see, once again, from our list of announcements included with the order of service, we are an active congregation, as Reverend Dave was just alluding to. You can also find upcoming activities in our newsletter, and there are a couple of items I wanted to highlight this morning. First off, we're going to have a potluck after the service, but in between the service and the potluck is a town hall meeting. Will last about 45 minutes, Leslie tells me, and all are welcome, members and friends. So please stay around for that. No worry about if you didn't bring anything for the potluck. We're going to have a loaves and fishes kind of thing, and everybody's going to be able to eat. Okay. We are going to be commemorating International Transgender Day of Remembrance next Sunday here in the sanctuary at 5 o'clock. I also want to mention that Thanksgiving is coming up, in case you hadn't noticed, and there will be, of course, a Thanksgiving celebration here. Kathy Weesey is in charge as usual. It will be at 3 p.m. and everyone is invited. And please contact Kathy and especially let her know by next Sunday, by the 20th, if you're planning to come. And Reverend Dave has a couple more announcements.
Thank you, Susan. How many of you are familiar with the British Bake Off show? Have you watched it? Oh, look at that. Well, you have the opportunity to participate in a UU style of a British Bake Off. And I have it on best authorities that someone like Paul Hollywood will be making an appearance, as well as other characters from the show. Now, people have asked, well, what does this entail? Well, if you like to bake, you can bake a pie and sign up and say you're going to bake a pie. But if you just want to come and participate in an auction where these items are auctioned off and some fun things are happening as these Paul Hollywood and company taste the various things and give awards, then come for that. It's December 2nd. It's here in the sanctuary. Starts at 6 o'clock, and it promises to be a lot of fun. And also, as we come together in fun, we also raise money for UUCSR. So go online, sign up to bake a cake or a pie, or just plan to come and open your wallet and give to a worthy cause. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to the Flower Committee for these amazing flowers this morning. Thank you to all the volunteers that keep UUCSR going. And if you would like to contribute and be involved in other ways, please see the website or see any of us after the service. Now, please take a moment to silence your cell phone if you haven't already. And let's all take a deep breath to be fully present as we move into worship. Please rise as you are able to sing our opening hymn, number 360, and the words will be projected up here, I think. Our chalice will be lit this morning by Fred Brewer. Fred is currently serving on the Operations Committee and the Health Advisory Team, and he served in multiple capacities here at UUCSR in the past. Fred and his wife, Sandy, are longtime UUCSR members. Thank you, Dr. Fred. And these words are by Reverend Naomi King. As we You can't hear me. Okay. As we nurture this precious light together, we become a light of hope, turning isolation into community, anguish into peace, sorrow into joy. As we do, our faith burns a steady flame of innovation, banishing illusion, creating a new and renewing way together. Together we turn this world from bleak to bright.
Let's take this moment to acknowledge that our beloved sanctuary stands on the unceded traditional territory land of the Pomo people here in Santa Rosa, past, present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. And please stand as you are able and join me in reciting our covenant and mission statement. The words are on the back of the order of service or projected above. We pledge to seek unity in our diversity, to welcome and respect divergent opinions and beliefs, to listen to one another with open hearts and minds, to acknowledge our shortcomings and be quick to forgive them in others, and to focus on our mission, celebrating life, empowering people, caring for one another, and helping to build a better world. Our milestones today, Barb Kieser will offer them for adults, and Era will be for our youth and children.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Good morning. I'm going to read the milestones that are in our milestones book. That book sits right outside the sanctuary on a stand, and you're welcome to include any joys and sorrows that you want to share with the congregation. And know that we lay chaplains are available to talk with you if you feel the need. I will be around in the sanctuary after the service if you would like to talk, or if you prefer to talk at another time, email us at laychaplains@uusantarosa.org and we will get back to you. So here are the milestones for this week, and they're all joys. I got hired, writes Heather Gorey. Yay, Heather. The flowers, always lovely, are amazing this morning. Wow, writes Sally Jones. Yes, they are pretty amazing. Today is Jamie Kerr's birthday, Deb writes. Happy birthday, Jamie. And today is also the birthday of Benjamin Cho, who is celebrating his 18th birthday. Happy birthday, Benjamin. May we hold these milestones in our heart. Thank you.
We also have many joys coming over from the RE wing. Speaking of Benjamin Cho, Benji got 10th in his cross-country race this past week and is off to the North Coast section and likely states. Right? His sister, Katie Cho, got first in her JV cross-country race as well. In addition, we have 6 young children graduating from OWL today. After 9 weeks, these kids have learned much about the human body, families, and how babies are born. On this final day, they are celebrating in the RE wing with their families. And I want to give an extra special shout out to our OWL facilitators, Jean Smith and Donna Watson, for helping to make this amazing program possible. And with that, I would like to invite the children up for Time for All Ages. Good morning, guys. Rory made a very astute observation when he saw the book I was reading today. He said, "You already read that book." And it's true. The book I've chosen today is Change Sings by Amanda Gorman. But there's a reason I chose this book today, partially because of what Reverend Dave alluded to earlier with our election results on Tuesday. I don't know, were you guys keeping up? Watching the swing states? Yeah? A little bit? What do you... Rory had to go to bed before it ended.
My 2 moms are really into politics, and I was able to watch them instead of watching TV, which I think was really cool. And they explained a lot about it. And so after school, I learned a whole lesson about politics.
Wow. I think we have some young politicians here. Well, today I wanted to share this book because change can mean lots of things. It can mean just things getting better, sometimes things getting worse, things often just getting different. But the thing that's amazing is when we come together and make change for good. I think that's something that we all believe in here. And I wanted to share this story because, I don't know, it gives me hope. So this is Change Sings by Amanda Gorman. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and all its hills. I hum with 100 hearts, lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances, from where and how we came. I also walk our differences to show I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, beside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? And with that, I think we should head back and help some people go potty. But before we do that, let's tell everyone who we are. We are loving hearts and the help of each other.
Generosity is one of the spiritual values most of us feel is central to our personal lives, to the well-being of our congregation, and to the broader community in which we live. When we pass the offering bag during worship service, we are enacting gratitude and sharing our resources to build a better world. For some of us, there are times and circumstances in which making a monetary contribution may not be possible. Please know that your presence here is a gift to our spiritual community, regardless of your financial situation. Each week, we share our donation basket with a nonprofit group doing important work in our community, one that needs our support. Today, we will be sharing the basket with our own Saturday breakfast. And now we'll hear from John Ray, who'll give us an update on that amazing program.
Good morning. When you come up this week and in future weeks to light candles, please consider lighting them for our homeless neighbors who come to us cold, tired, hungry, but know that there is dignity and kindness here every Saturday since the program started in 2005. We need money, and here's why. It's no longer warm outside. When we opened up after COVID tamed down a bit, we would get 40 to 60 guests, and that means we needed less food. We actually needed less crew members to help prep and serve the food. Now that it's cold and sometimes wet, yesterday we had over 100 people in line. And it breaks my heart. I hand out masks and give them a greeting as they come in, and I turn to see if the line is dying down, and the line just kept going out the door and around the corner towards 10th. So there are a lot of new faces out there, people who are recently homeless, but it's heartwarming to hear them come in and to see the warm pan of fluffy scrambled eggs, and to see the quesadillas frying there, and to smell the spices from the French toast. And yesterday we were able to serve corned beef hash. And we get a lot of thank yous from people. They really do look forward to it. So here's how you can help. We certainly need your contributions. And if you can't contribute today, remember you can always write a check and put in the memo Saturday breakfast, and it'll get into the special fund. We also need more volunteers. Now that we have more people coming in, we need full crews. Yesterday I had a crew of 5. We need a crew of more like 10 to 12. Okay, so how do we do it? Well, I get homeless volunteers. Okay, there are people there that we trust and we know will do a good job for us. But I'd like to see more of our own friends and members be a part of this program. So if you can volunteer for one Saturday a month, I can use your help. Last, a lot of people were asking for blankets and sleeping bags yesterday, and we don't have any. So I need donations for blankets, sleeping bags, warm clothing, sweatshirts, jackets, always socks, okay? And believe me, it'll be much appreciated. From the words of the hymn that we sang, 360, all sharing what we can, and as we give, we gain. You can see me after the service if you'd like to sign up. You can send an email to saturdaybreakfast@uusantarosa.org, or send me an email, or if you want an even faster response, send it to my wife. D. Ray. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Please be as generous as you can. And if you are joining us online, please look in the chat box or use our website to find the Give Now link. If you're having any trouble with that, please let me know afterward. I'd be happy to help you figure it out. During the offering, you may light a candle to mark a personal milestone, a joy, a sorrow, a hope, but please wait until the ushers have passed your row to get up. For those of you on Zoom, you may wish to light a candle at home. Will the ushers and candle lighting assistants please come forward?
Please join me in dedicating these offerings. The words are in your order of service. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond our walls, we dedicate these offerings and ourselves. Please join me in a pastoral prayer. Holy Spirit, we come this day as a community with gratitude for the blessings that have come into our lives individually and collectively, and give thanks for the opportunity together as a community in faith and in support to one another. We ask a blessing to be upon those in this community who are in need of physical comfort, spiritual healing, and answering to questions that they might be dealing with. Help us as a community of faith to be mindful to reach out to others, both within this community and in the outside of this community. We're grateful for this week, for the happenings of it, and pray for our help in helping us to do our part to continue to stand out and live into our UU principles. Be with us and guide us in this coming week. May it be so. Amen. And now invite you to enter into a time of silent meditation. Ground yourself by grounding your feet on the ground. Close your eyes if you'd like, and begin to ponder.
So, good morning again. I'm Susan Tholag, and I'm new. Can you hear me? Okay, great. I'm new to the worship associate role, and I've been a member of UUCSR for about 7 years and UU for 25 plus. I'm honored and happy to be here with you today and to work with the amazing and wonderful worship associate team and Rev Dave. So our worship theme this month is change. A big concept, kind of hard to get your mind around. We modern people expect a lot of change in the world, and increasingly so, dizzyingly so for many decades now. Some societal changes we embrace, some we want and try to reject, and we keep on adapting. But this is what I want to share with you. The world I live in changed radically for me over the last 7 years or so. That's because of the convergence of our American political breakdown, along with the world's inertia on the climate change front. These are interlinked. My sense of what I can reasonably hope for has been shaken. And I've been struggling to find my way during this time of profound political and I would say moral change in our country. I'm 72 years old. I was born right here in Santa Rosa, smack dab in the middle of the 20th century. Santa Rosa was a rather sleepy and conservative little town of 18,000 in 1950. So it's grown tenfold since then. When I was a child, around 8 or 9 years old, going to Burbank School, I became aware of two things that had a huge impact on me: the civil rights movement in the American South and the Nazi Holocaust in Europe. I was stunned and distraught to find out that these things could happen. But around that time, perhaps because of my mother's framing of those events, I developed a certainty, a deep certainty, that the world was changing for the better. I believed that people worldwide learned from terrible things that had happened in the past, and that they would make certain that they wouldn't be repeated again. Never again would there be a Holocaust, and African Americans would soon be able to vote and work and live their lives in security and stability as other Americans did. I see now that that was a privileged belief. I personally was mostly insulated from the vast discriminatory world that people of African American, Jewish, Latin American, Asian, and so many other groups inhabited on a daily basis. I also think that as a child, psychologically, it was protective and comforting for me to construct a mental world where change toward justice and peace was inevitable and continuous. That belief set has certainly eroded and become muddier over my lifetime. I've lived in other countries, working in foreign aid and public health, and seen tremendous persisting inequities. I've been a witness to the US waging corrupt and terrible wars. Our justice system has unjustly incarcerated hundreds of thousands of people. Guns have proliferated in our country. Make no mistake, I have seen a lot of good too in my life. Many, many wonderful, dedicated people constructing the beloved community in so many ways. I've preferred in my life to focus on that. But over the last 7 or 8 years, my experience of this country, the external world I live in, changed in an unprecedented way and knocked me for a loop. It was a sustained gut punch. And it's important still, even with the encouraging results of the election this week. I think it's important to say out loud what we are dealing with in this country, to not hide from the truth. For me, That's the place to start piecing back together despair, a resistance to despair, and regaining hope. And I offer this image to you. Once a reporter asked A.J. Musti, who was an early civil rights leader who influenced MLK heavily, do you really think you are going to change the policies of this country by standing out here alone at night in front of the White House with a candle? Mr. Musti replied softly, "Oh, I don't do this to change the country. I do this so the country won't change me." In these tumultuous times, I think they require an affirmation of principles. For me, that's a meshing of the Buddhist precepts and UU principles. That is home, that grounds me, that gives me strength. And I am so grateful to be in community with you, to stand strong with courageous people who are dedicated to justice and peace and turn out to make that so in the world. And I did feel real encouragement from the election this week, but it's going to be a long, long haul to right the ship of state in this country and to effectively address the existential threat of climate change. When my mind is tired of trying to withstand the colossal changes of our times, nature is there. In my garden, Armstrong Woods, the Great Pacific, photos from the Webb telescope, to put this human realm into perspective and renew my commitment to carry on, as the hymn says. Thank you.
Here's one clear voice just singing a song. And another voice to sing along. Three together, we've got something to say. Hey! God, make some changes in the world today. Oh, 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 there's trouble in the world, there is no denying. Oh, oh, you know that too many people are dying.
Thank you. Is this on? Yeah. Well, thank you, choir, for that wonderful rendition. um, you know, I wanted to come out here because I hate standing behind a podium. I don't feel like I can really look into your faces. And as I look out there, I go, wow. And you know, our theme this month is change. And I can remember when I was in my teenage years, my mother used to say, you know, there's one thing you can count on in life is change. And I'd go, yeah. And I didn't really come to understand what that meant. As you're a young person, you think that life goes on forever and that you're, you know, infallible and all the things that go with it. And what I have learned is that there's one thing you can count on, and that's change. And it's change, you know, in ourselves, in our families, in our society. And so today I'd kind of like to just kind of talk about this thing called change and look at it as, how do we make friends with change? You know, I can remember I had gone to college, graduated, and got my first job, and I was going, oh, right, we're on our way. And at that time we'd had our first child. And so family and everything, and I was doing everything that a good Jewish boy should do, which is provide grandchildren for the Jewish mother. And, you know, I'd gotten a good job and I had a good education, and so life was pretty well set. And as the years unfolded and as more children came, change began to come into our household. And one of the things that really brought to me was the fact that my wife at the time decided that she no longer wanted to be married. She didn't want to be a mother. And so I found myself as a young man in my early 30s, middle 30s, with change. Here I was faced with having to be a single parent as my other half decided just to leave and to disappear to go find herself. And so I came face to face with change, and I believe that has helped me as I've moved forward in my life to embrace change, to find change that can help us, and to make friends with it. You know, as one is faced with something like that, you can't help but rely on support. And I think back, wouldn't it have been great if I would have known a Unitarian? See, if some Unitarian would have been living into their principles to tell me, I could have found the Unitarian Church. But I suppose that I needed to go through what I needed to go through. But as I look back on that, on this opportunity of change, with each year, as each year passed by and the kids grew and changes came as they went off, the one thing that I was grateful for was the ability to live in the present. And so as we make friends with change, one of the skills that I admonish each of you to do is to live in the present. Embrace the opportunity that is happening to you You know, as we get older, we have this thing called aging. Anyone dealing with that? And somehow, you know, sometimes words or phrases don't seem to come, and the leg doesn't work, or the joints don't work the way, or you go and play with your, you know, grandson or whatever, and suddenly, you know, you play around a basketball and you can't walk for the next 2 days. And so, you know, change is going to happen. But I know I had the opportunity yesterday, actually, or Friday evening, to sit in one of the neighborhood groups that was here. And I sat next to an older woman who, if anything, could have every reason to complain about life, and yet she found joy in every day, and she shared with me her experiences of her week and her energy. And I thought, you know, there's someone who embraces change, who looks forward to what they can have that day. You know, I have different points in my life come face to face with this thing called change, and you know, I think about the fact when I chose to tell my partner Jerry, guess what? We're going to be a change in our life. I'm going to be going into the ministry. And because of his wonderful support, his response back was, well, what took you so long to figure that out? You'll have the opportunity to meet him next week. I pick him up on Saturday, and I'm so excited. I told him there's already a fan club here for him, so. But that was a big change in our lives. And, you know, with the call to ministry has come that opportunity to serve congregations and to learn as a partnership, Jerry and I, how we can manage and maintain a relationship when we're miles apart. And we've learned to handle that change. And so my admonish to you is to be open, you know, be willing to risk and be willing to listen. Which brings me to a point about change. You know, just as in our own lives we have change, in our organization, our Unitarian Universalist Association is changing. It's changing to meet the demands of who we are and what we need to be. You know, it's been 1987, if anyone can remember back that far, what was happening. But in 1987 was the last time that our 7 principles were revised and looked at. And since that time, a lot has happened in the world, and a lot has happened in our institution, in Unitarian Universalism. And back in over 25 years ago at a GA, the members there, and those of you who don't know what a GA is, General Assembly, each congregation sends delegates to it, and those delegates represent the voice of the congregation. And so at this 25 years ago at a General Assembly, it was voted that as an institution, as a Unitarian Universalist, we wanted to be more anti-racism and more anti-oppressive. And 25 years have passed since that resolution was put up, and nothing has happened. And so about 2018 actually, a group of people at a GA came and pushed for us to look at the adoption of the 8th principle, which basically is us being accountable for anti-racism, anti-oppression in our communities. And then began the 8th principle project that went out into various congregations, embraced that and listened to that and talked together. And some of them adopted that. At the same time, what was happening was there were other groundswells around our principles of looking at how, not so much of what the intent of the principle is, but the wording and how could it be more made relevant. So at GA 2 years ago, the UU board started a Article 2 commission. Now, Article 2 in the Unitarian Universalist Association, which is the association that congregations like ours belong to, it talks about our 7 principles, and it identifies our 7 principles. And the charge that the UUA board made to the commission was to begin to look at those principles, and especially in the light of the 8th principle and the work being done on the 8th principle, how could we improve those and maybe state them differently, keeping the intent that is still there. And so the commission went out and has been meeting, and congregations have been working with it. And I know here people have said, oh no, they're going to do away without our principles. Well, no, we're not doing away without our basic principles. We're looking at ways in which we can still keep that same intent. And so bringing it down to reality here, we have an 8th principle task force. And just because what's happening in one area is looking at principles, it doesn't stop the fact that as a congregation and you, as the 8th principle task force members go out, that it's important for you to embrace what they're trying to say. And basically, in essence, it's high time that we as Unitarian Universalists hold ourselves accountable to stand up against anti-racism, to stand out against systems of oppression. And that's the crux of what's in the 8th principle, and that will still be in our principles, however it deems, in 2024 or 2024 or 2025, whenever a vote can be taken. But I want you to understand that it's real easy to interpret something and say, oh, no, the UUA, they're at it again. They're, and instead to look at that as the intent behind this is that, as I spoke with a good friend of mine who's African American, who's a young person in our faith, said, I look to what the inheritance, what are you leaving me and my generation to work with as we move forward? And so it's one thing to talk and say we're one thing, but it's another thing to be forceful and to go out and to actually take action. So the essence behind the 8th principle is help us as individuals and as a community to be accountable to each other. And the purpose behind the principles anyway are guidelines for us as individuals. We don't have credos, we don't have any of that in this faith, but we have our principles. And we'll continue to have principles of whatever faith they turn out to be, but there'll still be guidelines, and there'll still be many of the things as justice and integrity and all those things that are woven into them. And so I ask you to embrace the changes that are coming in our faith. And for those of you who have questions or comments or want to have a conversation about it, I welcome that. Come and talk to me, and we'll talk about what this means. But as the whole, I ask you to listen to the people from the 8th Principle Task Force as they meet with you in your committees and in your groups, and to ask questions, but to look at what it is that they have. Because we're going to have a congregational vote whether or not to adopt that. And what that is really a way for all of you to say, we stand behind this and we support this. I know all of you as a congregation are wonderful people, and I've told you this and I will tell you this again. There is a resilience here. So I ask you, if you have questions, to don't post things on assumptions, but to really dig deep and to find out. And together we can learn, And together we can grow, and together this congregation will become all that I know that you can be. I thank you for the opportunity to change with you, for us to move forward, for us to make a difference here in Santa Rosa and a difference in the community outside. Think back on what brought you to this faith. Was it not an answer to call from within? And that is what keeps us together. Regardless of our ideas and our backgrounds and social economics, we can come together in a community around a sense of values and a sense of purpose. So as we change and as our UU changes, embrace that and know that it is not something done lightly, that many voices and a lot of thought goes into that. So go out and embrace change. Make change your friend. I can tell you, it has been a friend of mine, and I salute my good mother when she said, about change, that it happens, and it does happen. But embrace it, live into it. That is my prayer and my wish for you this day. And as I look into your faces and see your eyes and see your spirits, I see a power of strength here. People who are committed. I thank you. It is a privilege to be here, to serve as your minister. I invite you to come and let's have a discussion and let's move forward together. May it be so. Amen. Our closing hymn is going to be on 1015. I like this song. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And I know we can go on as a congregation, embracing change, looking for opportunities, and being the community that we are. May it be so. Go in peace.